It's been a while since I had a tool haul video, so let's jump right into this one. Just a quick reminder, there is an Amazon link in the description to all the tools you're going to see in this video, as well as all the other tools I've had in previous tool haul videos. So go check it out. You might find something you're interested in. Let's start this video off with the Sonx 2801. It's the outer tie rod impact socket 1/2" drive. Okay, came in a generic box inside of this plastic, and this is exactly what the tool looks like. Here goes the laser etching on one side, and let's be honest guys, you could easily make this tool with a large socket, one that you really don't use, or a throwaway socket. All you have to do is cut a slit into it like that, but I'm a sucker for the actual tool, so I just bought it. Yeah, so I recently had the opportunity to use it for the first time, so let me show you exactly how that went. So there you have it. So far, we're not off to a great start with this video. I have no doubt that the tool works. I just, as of recently, every time I have to do tie rods, they just kind of come right off. I've been getting pretty lucky lately. It seems like whenever you need a tool, you don't have it, and the second you buy the tool, all of a sudden it collects dust. That's just kind of how things go. But I'm sure you guys get the idea of this tool, and I'm just looking forward to using it in the future when it actually works. Let's move on to the next tool. Here I have the OTC 7302-2. It's an air hammer brake pin remover. You can buy this as a two-piece set for like a manual hammer, like it just has a normal end on it and you just hit it with a standard hammer. But I'm like, if I'm buying this tool, I want to use the air hammer, so that's why I bought this one. And surprisingly, these tools are kind of expensive for what they are. I mean, in theory, you could make one of these if you have a welder, and trust me, I did think about it considering how expensive this is. I don't remember, but I want to say this was easily close to the $100 range, maybe more, maybe less. It was somewhere around there. You would have to check and look into it. But when you're at that price, you start to think, hey, can I just make this tool out of a like old air hammer bit and then just weld on some plate like this that you just kind of cut yourself with an angle grinder? Who knows? But again, it comes down to I'm a sucker for having the actual tool rather than making my own tool. So I just ponied up the money and bought it. And you can see this end goes into the air hammer, and this is the business end. You can see how it tapers off like that to accommodate different size slide pins. And I'm going to go ahead and show you a clip right here of me using it for the very first time. So as you can see, it did end up getting the job done. Of course, I had to use a little bit of heat, but that's perfectly normal. The point was we were able to save that caliper, because the alternative is if that slide pin can't come out, like you absolutely can't get out, you have to replace the caliper. It's going to cost the owner money. It's going to cost you more time, and nobody likes to make that call to the owner saying, hey, the bill is going to go up, right? So in theory, this tool can pay itself off pretty quick and save you a lot of time and your customers a lot of money. Of course, OTC stuff, made in USA. It says with globally sourced components. Anything that's made in USA is always expensive, so I'm just gonna chalk it up to that, because if this thing were made in China, it would be like half the price or maybe even less than that. Anyway, let's move on to the next tool. I'm really liking this one. Here I have a set of crowfoot wrench extensions. As you can see, it's still sealed. I have not opened it, and it's just because I was recently working on a Ford F-150, and guys, I had to end up making my own tool. Yeah, so I cut a 11/16 wrench, and then I welded on a short extension right there that I also had to cut up, and this did end up getting the job done. But it was one of those things, it was an eye-opener that, okay, I need the proper tool. And you're probably thinking, how do you not have a crowfoot set like this? And the answer is I do. But I have the, I don't know what to call them, guys. I'm lost for words right now. It's the crowfoot that has like the flare nut and on it, where it's not open like this. Okay, it has the actual ends that kind of bend over to get a better grip on the nut, kind of like the flare nut wrenches for brake lines. And the specific scenario that I was working on this F-150, that little bit of bend at the tip of the wrench for the, you know, standard like flare nut wrenches was not going to cut it because of the way it was designed on the truck. It had to be something flat where it could slide in like this onto the truck, not come from the top with those other style. So I went ahead and bought this. So another thing is that set that I do have, it's all metric. My Hook Pro Foot extension wrench set is metric. And guess what? That size I was working on the Ford F-150, a aftermarket power steering line, standard size 11/16. So that was another issue. So that's what pushed me to just go ahead and buy this. And comes with this sleeve, just slides off. Is there a part number for this? Oh yeah, it's right here. So hopefully you guys can see that. Duratec DTCFW19MS. And you're probably wondering, why'd you buy this cheap set off of like eBay or Amazon? And the thing is, you have to look at tools on what they're intended to be used for, how often you're going to be using them, and whether you could justify buying an expensive name brand set. This is a type of tool that I guarantee you almost never gets used, okay? Once in a moment. Guys, it took me years of working on cars to have to make something like this. You get what I'm saying? And it's probably going to be a few more years before I have to make or need a tool like this. That's why I'm like, you know what? Duratec off of Amazon, I'll take it. They look nice enough. So where's the 11/16 right here? By the way, I'm not a fan of these foam inserts because they look all pretty right now, but after you're done using them for a little while with all the dust and everything, they start to look really grimy. So here's a comparison. Of course, you wouldn't have to weld on something like that because it already has the 3/8 square drive right there to accept your extension or your ratchet. But this is exactly what I was trying to accomplish when I made this tool. So it comes with sizes 3/8 on the small end all the way up to 7/8. And then for the metric, it comes from 10 millimeter all the way up to 22 millimeter, and you get two 3/8 extensions. One appears to be, I don't know, about a 3-inch. Another one's probably like a 6-inch. But the tool looks nice enough, guys. Okay, it's decent enough. I'm sure it's gonna get the job done for the very rare occasions that I need this tool. That's enough for this one. Let's move on to the next tool. Next up, I have two tools that basically do the same thing but in a different fashion. This is a more fancy, expensive version from Vim, or you could call them Vim if you want. This is the part number WE15. Let me double check that. Yeah, WE15. This is a wrench extension, and it comes with a soft handle grip on this side. As you can see, it's very comfortable. And this is one of those tools that for a long time I kept saying to myself, I don't need one of those. But I decided to just bite the bullet, pick it up, and I am not disappointed, guys. I'm finding more and more uses for this. And the whole double wrench method, we all know the double wrench method, right? Where you put two wrenches together, opposite ends or whatever. Yeah, that thing is a thing of the past. This right here is the way to go. It's really great for, let's see, like rear brake calipers. You know, on your front of your car, you could turn the wheel to get access, but you can't do it on the rear of the car. So sometimes all you can fit in there, especially with these tight clearances, is a wrench. You can't fit your socket with your ratchet, or even less, a impact gun inside of there on some vehicles. So you're forced to use a wrench to try to remove like the caliper bracket bolts. And then once you get your wrench on there, then you put this tool on and you get the leverage that you need. And in fact, I actually used this tool yesterday to remove a oxygen sensor on the Toyota RAV4. I put the car up on my ramps, and because of clearance issues, I had to use a 22 mil wrench. Couldn't use anything else, but it was just on there so tight that I didn't have the leverage I needed. And because I had the car up on ramps, I had just enough clearance to put this on my 22 mil wrench, and it got the job done, guys. So I am really finding this thing useful, and it's like, why didn't I buy it sooner? It's one of those dang tools that, you know, knucklehead move. I should have just gotten it. And let's move on to the next tool, which is pretty much the same exact thing. It just accomplishes it in a different way. Now I have not used this tool because I actually lost it. I put it in the mess of crap sitting on top of my toolbox, and the day I actually needed it, when I was trying to do some rear brakes on a Cadillac, I couldn't get the caliper bolt off, and I was like, you know what, this is the perfect tool for that. So I can, let's see, perfect example right here. Let's just say this wrench is on that bolt for the caliper bracket, right? Let's flip it around. So this box end wrench is on the bolt for the caliper bracket. You put this tool on here, but look what this tool allows you to do that's different from this one back here. It has a 1/2 inch drive right here, or you could put a socket on if you wanted to, but basically it allows you to put an extension coming out of here. So you could actually have your wrench on the fastener, put this tool on, bring your extension out past the wheel and the fender liner of the car, and essentially put the biggest breaker bar that you want on it at that point. I hope all of that makes sense. So you would have your extension coming out like this at a 90 degree, and then you could put your other breaker bar, whatever you're going to use. So they essentially do the same thing. These two tools right here essentially do the same thing, but they do it in a different manner. So it is worth having both of them at the same time. Granted, this one costs more, this one costs less. And in fact, I just realized I didn't even give you the information for this one. So this one is the K tool. You can see right there, it's going to be the KTI 49403, made in Taiwan. These two are a must-have. It's one of those things where you think you don't need them, but once you actually start using them, you see how crazy useful they are. So let's move on to the next tool. Guys, here was a tool straight from the mainland, China. Billy tool. I don't know how it's pronounced. Billy Tools, I don't know, but it's B1F98185, and it's basically a strut spreader. You know, where the strut would go over like your knuckle. It's mostly common on like German cars like Volkswagen, Mercedes, and crap like that. I've had like 1 or 2 other variations of this tool, and they just all kind of suck. They end up breaking. Maybe it's because I'm buying the cheap Chinese knockoff ones, but this is another one, and you can see what happens here. Okay, so you would put this in the gap of the strut right there, and as you turn the fastener back here, you can see how it opens up the slip, and essentially it's going to spread the strut for you so you could easily remove it off of the knuckle. I have not had an opportunity to use this. Like I often don't get German cars or cars that have this type of setup. So yeah, I can't tell you if this one actually works. I know all the other ones I've tried in the past are just garbage. I don't know about this one yet, and to me it's kind of a throwaway tool. Honestly, I'm expecting this thing to just fail the very first time I try to use it. So I just wanted to throw it in here because it is a tool I bought. Is it going to be any good? I have no idea. Let's move on. Let's go ahead and get this large 3-piece set out of the way. This one's made by Master Force. We were just walking through, I believe Menards. Yeah, that's where Master Force comes from. And my wife saw this set and she just thought it would be a good gift for me. You know, it holds fasteners, tools, and things like that when you're working, and they are very useful. This is not the magnetic type. Some of them have magnets in them, but in my experience, I found that with the amount of rusty crap that I work on, anything that has magnets on it just attracts all kinds of crap you don't want to deal with. So to me, magnets is not the way to go. Anyway, my favorite one is the smaller one, just because it's so like versatile. You could bring it anywhere with you. Don't get me wrong, the very large one is quite useful when you're on those longer, bigger jobs that have all these fasteners that you have to try to organize. And that's the whole point of these things, is so that you can put fasteners or your tools in different locations without losing them. How many times have you set down your tool or nuts and bolts on the cowl of a car while you're working, and then you end up losing something, or even worse, you lose one of your tools in a customer's car? You know what I'm saying? We've all been there. It's happened to me plenty of times. So, you know, things like this, a medium-sized one, really useful. Has all these separate compartments everywhere, as you can see, and it really helps to not only organize everything, but I really see these type of things, it's not so much for organization, it's so that you don't lose anything, your tools and any of the fasteners you're working with. You know, another example is you take a bolt off and you put it on the cowl of a car, and then it rolls off into the engine bay, never to be seen again. Again, we've all experienced that, right? So this kind of eliminates that problem, and they are super useful. So I think it was a really good gift from my wife. Let's move on to the next tool. Small thing right here. So this is another Vim Tools, or VIM, PFS8T70. Yes, it's a Torx T70. Well, I was recently doing like the transfer case fluid on a Subaru, and before the car came in, I did a little bit of research and, you know, watching YouTube videos and stuff on what needs to be done. And they were like, you need a T70. So I'm thinking to myself, I have a whole variety of Torx sockets, okay? Of course I have the correct tool. And when the car gets here, I go to get the job done. And of course I don't have a T70. I think my biggest size went up to a T60. So I had to buy this online. So Vim Tool is a very high quality product. And yes, it was a pain in the butt to try to get that job done without the correct tool. But I am prepared for the next time. There isn't really much else to say about this. So let's just move on to the next tool. Here was another cheap or inexpensive set off of Amazon. It's just a like scraper set. It has 3 pieces. Let me just pull I don't know, the small one out. So I mainly bought these. Well, first of all, let's start with the part number, if there is one. I'm not seeing anything, guys. I got a feeling the part number is probably underneath this sticker, or it was right here and it's missing. Oh wait, I got something. Okay, so it's called the Tusk 3-piece gasket scraper kit. That just looks like a barcode number. It doesn't look like a part number. So I'm sure I could find an Amazon link because that's where I got them from. So anyway, the reason why I got these is because for doing the valve cover gaskets on like V6s or V8s and these tight engine bays, sometimes you just really need to get in there and, you know, do like very small scraping like this. And I tell you what, these handles are too large, but when I saw it had wooden handles, I was like, perfect, because my intention was to cut it right behind this second rivet. So like that, and have a real stubby handle on them so I could really get into tight areas and scrape off any old silicone or gasket material off of like a cylinder head where the valve cover gasket is going to go. So that's the whole point of these, and I intend to cut the handle on all 3 of them in the same spot. I really want some low profile gasket scrapers, because all the other gasket scrapers I have like these stupid long extensions on them with these big old handles. You get what I'm saying? I'm like, I really need something with a low profile. And I was working on it was a 98 Ford Ranger recently, doing valve cover gaskets, and I had one heck of a time with the gasket scrapers that I actually have. And that's what triggered all of this, that I need a gasket scraper set with a very stubby handle and a stubby working end. So that's when I came across these, and I was like, they are perfect. They don't cost a lot, so I don't feel bad about modifying them. You know, like if say you bought a set like this from Matco or Snap-on, it kind of hurts to have to go ahead and cut the tools the second you get them. But when you're buying inexpensive stuff like this, who cares? Just cut them, right? So how much can you say about gasket scrapers, right? Let's go ahead and move on. Here we have this big old box. Yes, I did have to move the camera back a little bit. So apparently this one's another tool from Vim Tools, which I had no idea. I just forgot about that. But this is the B1G99424. This is one of those type of tools that I'd rather just keep inside this case. So this is almost like a master oil funnel set, and you're probably thinking, well, like, why would you spend money on an oil? It's just a funnel. Like I've got dozens of funnels around here, right? But I just want to see what the hype was about a funnel that has a specific adapter for most vehicles you would be working on. And you could see the giant funnel comes in here. It has 2 O-rings, and it locks in, and it quickly lets you add oil to a vehicle, kind of set it and forget it, walk away from it, right? In most cases. It has all these adapters up top that you guys really can't see. You can see it has extensions and like 45-degree elbows and all kinds of stuff like that. So, oh, and it even has this like a vacuum. Oh, you can't see crap. It has like this vacuum thing right here. The videos I've seen is so that you pull a vacuum on the upper end of the engine where you would put the oil in, and it allows you to do things like changing the oil drain bolt without losing too much oil. You know, it's a very niche category what you would be using this thing for, but it's there. It's nice that it's included. I can't see myself using this thing often, but I guess it can be useful in the right situation. So I'm gonna show you guys a clip of the first time I used this tool, and I believe I used this one right here for Honda, number 8, the green one. Yeah, my first experience with this tool wasn't that great. So the thing just wasn't fitting on a K-series valve cover. And I'm like, what are you thinking? Like, did anyone not test fit this product? It's kind of blowing my mind. You get what I'm saying? So I had to take this tool over to the lathe and chop at it and get it done to make it fit. And to be honest, guys, it was kind of a headache the very first time I used this thing on a car, and I was like, this is nonsense. I shouldn't have to deal with this. The kit should just work right out the box. You know, how hard is it to screw up a funnel? You get what I'm saying? But here's the reality of it, is that after that first initial experience with this tool, which wasn't great because I had to modify this tool, every other time I've used this tool has been fantastic, and it definitely speeds up oil changes on cars. You're no longer sitting there just pouring the oil in slowly. Make sure it's not overfilling or spilling. You get what I'm saying? You're not making a mess, and you don't gotta babysit it. So I'm only showing you guys like 1 or 2 examples of using this tool, but I've used it at least a dozen times already, and I could say this thing is absolutely useful. Now, for the average DIYer, you're working on your car or your wife's car, and that's about it. No, definitely do not spend money on something like this. If you work on a variety of vehicles, get this tool, and it'll really speed up your day and your process. So I really like this tool, and it's one of those things where it didn't convince me at first, but the more I used it, I'm like, yeah, this was a good purchase. Let's move on to the next tool. Here I have a DMT camshaft alignment timing tool kit. I'm not really seeing a part number on this thing. I know I got it off Amazon. It says for the 1.4 liters, 1.6, 1.8 Chevy, Avail, AR, and Fiat. I don't know what AR is. But basically, my friend has a Chevy Sonic, and we recently had to do a timing belt on his Sonic. So that's where we bought this tool. I mean, it comes with a variety of tools. Not all of them are going to apply to like his Chevy Sonic, but the main thing I wanted out of this kit was these two right here, that they lock in just like that, and they lock in against the 2 camshafts up top. So we use this tool. It actually worked decent. No real problems with it once we figured out how to use it, of course. But it got its job done, and it was relatively inexpensive, so I'd say it's a decent buy. Really no complaints over it. It's a cheap tool, but it's one of those tools that I don't use often, and for what we needed to do, it gets the job done. It doesn't have to be made in USA. You get what I'm saying? So that's it, and I wish I had a part number for you guys, but like I said, there is going to be a Amazon link, and I'm sure I'll have this inside of that Amazon link. Let's go on to the final tool. Now here was a sign that I really cheaped out. Have you ever seen this name before? I've never seen. I can't even pronounce this. Giriran. I don't know, guys. I just anyways, it's a bolt extractor set, okay? The one that have like the spiral flutes in them that are tapered. Yes, you would think I would own something like this, and I do have both extractor sets, but not one this extensive with this many sizes and not this design. I have a different design, okay? And the set that I have doesn't have these really tiny sizes over here. You can see we got 6mm, 6.2, 6.5. So my set does not have these, and that's why I picked up this. I was recently working on a Ford F-150 doing a valve cover, and all of the bolts are just rotted away. Guys, it took me a few hours to take off one valve cover because all of the bolts were rotted away. Like each and every bolt was like a 45-minute fight just to get it to come off, whereas the new valve cover with all brand new bolts went in a fraction of the time that it took me to get the old one off. And it just goes to show how the quality of the hardware that's holding on the component makes a massive difference. Anyway, I didn't have this tool, so I didn't have proper bolt extractors, and I do believe that if I would have had this at the time, it would have sped up the process at least a little bit, okay? So I went out and bought this, and I know it's a cheap set. You're probably saying, well, it's cheap Chinese set, it's gonna not last you long and it's gonna wear out quickly or maybe not even get the job done. And I understand all of that. The whole point of this tool, because this thing was very inexpensive, the whole point of these tools, I kind of see these tools as throwaway tools. Like if I use this 6mm and it manages to remove a damaged fastener, I don't know, like 3 or 4 times, and it gets to the point it's rounded off and it no longer wants to extract anything, throw it out. Throw out that one, see if you can replace it. You get what I'm saying? And that applies to each and every one of these sockets here, these sizes. It's not a quality snap-on set where I would be butthurt about it if one of them goes bad and now you're trying to replace it, you know, because your whole set, you'd like to have everything complete set. But in these really cheap Chinese-made inexpensive tools, if I wear all of them out and I got to replace it, not a big deal. That's the whole reason why I bought this. And these are the type of tools that I like to start off cheap. I mean, like, look at this. I can't even pronounce this. I have no idea who makes this or what this name, who that is. You get what I'm saying? And I'm the type of person that if this tool turns out to be very useful and I eventually wear these out, the next set I buy is going to be a name brand set. That's how I do things. So that's going to be it for this tool haul, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found something useful. Like I said, check my Amazon link, and there's so many more tools inside of those links from my previous tool haul videos. You could also check out that. I have a complete playlist of all my tool hauls. So anyway, that's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and like always, thanks for watching.